Hello, hello, hello. We are about to start our live session on inventory control and ordering. So just want to make sure with our team, my team, that everything is working. Sound is good. Let's see. Is the camera working? Camera is working. Probably just have a better connection. I'll disable the camera for right now. So we're just going to stay with no camera for right now. Towards the end, I'll just turn it on. Therefore, oh no, I hope it's not stopping it. Okay, just let me see again if you can hear me. We're still good. Yep, as usual. Okay, awesome. All right, let's get started. So we're going to jump in and go through these part one, which is going to be, let me just make sure my team knows I'm recording because I'm used to not doing that part. All right. Let's get started. So this is our inventory control and ordering workshop. So what are we going to cover today? Probably best practices, things that we've seen that work, that don't work. I see Dr. Davis, you joining us today, which is amazing. Please jump in the comments. So I'm going to keep the comment box open during this thing. So at any point, if anybody has questions, please jump in, write questions. I'll be able to stop, address a couple of the items or whatever the question might be. And then I'll be able to just go back into where I was before. So my original goal was to not only cover inventory, but also cover some of the images and floor plans. Let's see, I don't think we got any, which is unfortunate. Yeah, folder is empty. I was really hoping to get some pictures and floor plans and to be able to help our offices with this. So we're going to go without it. All right, so take one, part one, inventory control and ordering. What are we going to do? So first of all, it's 2020. So I love to talk about it during my presentations. That is, yeah, Dr. Davis, please go ahead and send either to my email or the folder that I provided. And towards the end, we'll be able to just take a look at what you have. So that'd be awesome. So when I do my presentations and we talk about the 2020, I mean, the coolest thing is it is 2020. It's 2020. And I believe there's no place for stuff like tax system and things like that. So I know that some of the offices are still using it, but our recommendation is maybe it's time to consider not to have it anymore. So that's my question. Why are you doing things as it's still 1985? So yeah, we visited a ton of offices, and for some reason, it still feels like we're stuck in that age. And the reason I say this is we see things like that, right? So if we see this beautiful combination, and for those of you that are just jumping in, please jump in. Dr. Tom, I see you here, which is awesome. Yeah, so this is going to be a huge party today. I love it. So those of you who are just jumping in, please go ahead and type some messages, say hello to each other. I know that we're going to be sharing some information. If you have anything to share, please upload it in the chat or send it to team, T-E-A-M at zensupplies.com. So I'll be happy to look at it. All right, so back to my presentation. So why we're doing things like it is still 1985, which is this thing, the tax system. So if any of you are still using it, please type yes. I would love to talk to you. Make sure that we build a plan on how to leave it and not to use it. And so the tax system, right? So the challenges that I have with the tax system is nobody can ever find them. So technically they should work. You should put them on the box and somehow the box should get to the right person, but it's just too much uncertainty here with the tax system. And I'm afraid that it's just not going to make it to the right person. Then the other part that I'm not really a big fan of, especially now, is when you see things like this. So this is, to me, a major 1985 is when you go on a website, you need to buy something and you see buy 10 for $31.88 when the price is really $33.68. And I mean, the difference is $2, right? You could have saved $20 if you bought 10, right? So, but at the same time, this is what I see a lot. right? I shared this picture on the last webinar we did on, I believe it was Thursday, right? Yeah, on Thursday. And so we shared this picture, but I didn't share this picture, and this is all expired products. So this is one of the things that I think we're doing a really bad job at. We have certain items in the office that we have an overflow, we have too much, and certain items we're running out, and we can't find the balance. We can't find where's that medium, that we don't have all this trays of composite material that we need to throw away, and the Kettenbach impression material, which is not the cheapest. And so this is my take on this is we got to stop this. We got to work on this. We got to take the time as we have right now to work on the inventory, make sure that it doesn't happen. And one of the things is hopefully we're going to stop doing free goods. So if you are doing free goods, don't be shy. Just say yes on the chat. I'd love to talk about it. All right. So my other 1985 is the basement. This has got to be the most common thing. I mean, you all have basements. So I just don't think it's needed. As much as I want to talk about it, we have our current office. I mean, our Zen office, the one that we rent, is on the second floor of a dental practice in Chicago, and they have 20 chairs. I mean, they have a 20 operatory practice, and all they have is, you probably heard me talk about it, is sterilization where they keep all the supplies. They don't have the storages. They don't have anything. So it's really, really lean operation. I'm sorry. And so therefore, I just don't believe in having basements. So I really think that you can have everything you need with a 2 to 3 week of stock in upstairs without having your team running into the basement. And so my other part too is, besides getting a workout, it's really tough to have the team members right in the middle of the day to run up downstairs to get stuff, come back up. And again, the more storage you have, the more stuff you're going to have, and the more potential that you're going to have to throw it away. So if you do have basement, please, 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 especially now, consider to let it go and not have it anymore. So all the stuff that you're going to have in the basement, maybe you can get rid of it or reorganize it. All right, what else we got? That's yeah, exactly, where you store old computers. Well, just throw them away. Donate, eBay, sell it, whatever you can. All right, so, and then this is also 1985, in my opinion, is when you go into the sterilization room, and it looks like the picture on the left. You have the doors, you have the boxes at the top, and you have trays. I mean, this is just so much, right? My OCD is going crazy right now. I don't know what I'm looking at. And especially if we're talking about high efficiency offices getting really organized, like Dr. Tom. And Dr. Tom, I hope you're going to post a picture of all of your syringes hanging in the main supply room. I would love to share that picture with everybody. So Dr. Tom, if you hear me, please attach that picture to the chat. So if you want to be streamlined and organized, and especially we're talking about, days like now, when we do come back, and we really need to make sure things are streamlined. And again, some pictures that you guys will see, you probably will need to consult with the infection control specialist. So like things like you see bibs here, maybe they should be stored in plastic and things like that. And again, I don't want to claim I'm an infection control specialist or CDC or anything like that. So we're just going to show what we typically see in the offices. And then some of this stuff will need to be discussed with infection control specialists and OSHA specialists. So when I see something like this, number one is I want to get rid of the doors, right? Number two is you really want to get this whole thing organized, which we're going to talk about on some of the slides later. But that's one thing, is when you see things like that, it just needs to get organized. So like I said, get rid of Monica posted a picture. Thank you, Monica. We'll take a look at it in a second. So first of all, get rid of the doors. I know we've talked about it on the last call, how much I love the doors, right? AKA I don't. And so one of the things I do is when I go to the offices, I take a screwdriver and I go and I take the doors out. Because in order to be efficient, we need to see what you have. You need to see what on the shelves, right? So the other part is my favorite. When we go and take the doors out, we have team members and the doctors say, well, how it's going to look like for my patients. And again, if you have the sterilization that is tucked in with a 5 or 6 feet opening, most likely your patient's not going to see it because they're just going to look at their phone. So I wouldn't worry about it. So we need to get organized. Then when we look at the middle picture, right? So we need to reorganize things, and things that you need and they're most commonly used, they're going to go at the bottom. Things that you don't need that often, they're going to go to the top. And to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of having things above the cabinet. I mean, just cleaning wise and all that, it's just not the safest way to do it. So if you have to stuff stuff on top of your upper cabinet, probably needs to go to the basement, and that means it needs to be thrown away. So that's my take on it. All right. So I love to talk about Starbucks. Thank you, Monica. We'll get to it in a second. So I want to see those pictures. So I love to talk about Starbucks. For some reason, at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning before this whole thing started, or after we go back to work, you run up to Starbucks. You're not really complaining about seeing boxes, right? So you're not really just like saying why all these boxes are out there. And so my same concept to you is Starbucks is pretty organized. I'm pretty sure they count their inventory. Have you seen those really like big folders that they have, that beginning of the shift, end of the shift, everybody checks in and they all check in inventory. So it's not even an option for them in order to make sure that stuff is there. And then how many times you've gone to Starbucks through the drive-through, you're pulling in, you order your favorite coffee and they say, sorry, we're out of bins. Like they can be out of some raspberry syrup, but I can't imagine Starbucks being out of bins. But yet, for some reason, this happens not with Zen offices, but it happens with a lot of practices across the country that you're just running out of the most essential things before seeing patients. And so I think there's certain things that I would take from Starbucks is, A, I wouldn't worry about having boxes outside, AKA having open cabinets without the doors, and having everything streamlined and efficient. And the second one is developing the checklist, developing the process that you can keep track of what you have and what you don't have and being on top of it. All right, so we're going to skip those two numbers. I don't think we need them. And so if we look at our inventory, so actually before we jump into this, let's see the pictures that we've got. Oh yeah, love it. It's organized. So Monica sent these pictures. Yep. So Monica, just one thing I would recommend to take the doors out, obviously. So another part that I would recommend here, those sticky notes, you can lose them. So I already love the fact that everything is organized, that you have the names of the products and you can easily see them. I would just try to, like, one of the things I would do is have it a little bit more organized in a way that under the box, somewhere on, I don't know if I can draw this on top of it. Let me see. I wish I could draw on top of this thing. So basically, right under where you have these boxes on that white shelf, I would just write what the products are. Take a label maker and then just make the labels. And again, I think I saw it at Dr. Tom's office. You could separate these things by the 1/2 inch blue tape, the painter's blue tape. And I would literally divide the sections and then have the label maker and label each section what needs to go in. Because if you take the box and then accidentally you lost the sticky note, you just might forget or may not know where to put the box again. So literally on top of the shelf, blue tape, tape it in, and then you can use the label maker to have it all listed there. So that's a good picture. That's my recommendation. What else do we see there? What else? Sorry guys for technical challenges. Just need to open up the chat again. Dr. Tom, I know you're typing. So another one is, let me just open another picture for Monica. Let's take a look at it together. Ooh, the boxes. Yeah. So Monica, these boxes, right? So it's a lab. So in the lab, I get it. There are some concerns that, like the doors, right? I would probably keep the doors in the lab room. So yeah, because the dust is flying and all that stuff. I totally get it. It's actually, again, I would just try to see if you can remove the stuff from above and reorganize it where you do have space to have the boxes stacked. Again, I wish I would see the whole picture of the space, but again, my 2 cents on this is try to get rid of the boxes from the top. It's either for some dentures for the old patients that you don't see anymore, or right, or something, sticky notes or temporary until coworker note where things have been relocated. Okay, composite, dentures, cements, got it. So just have a plan if you do lose those sticky notes. What are you gonna do? Where are they gonna go? And I think, again, the big thing for me is see what you can do with the boxes above. Either reorganize, lab is actually one of the areas where we typically, when we go into the offices with the team, we throw away so much, like a lot. So lab is the part where people just store so much of the stuff. So I wouldn't be afraid to just go in and check every single box in the corner, these clear containers, and see what you can get rid of from here. Below the countertop space, all that. So I would just take a look. And again, if you do open up area, if you do open up the space, I see some of the cabinets are pretty empty. I would move the boxes from above and move them to the cabinets, or just get rid of them from this area at all, like if you're not going to be using it. So these are my 2 cents. Dr. Tom, I have bought a clear plastic label holder. They come in 8-foot length and that you can cut to size. I have them running the length of the shelf and can put a label anywhere and there's a case. I need to relocate space. Yep. So there's some really interesting ways of using those plastic label holders. Like Dr. Tom said, that's one way to do it. And also, Dr. Tom, I hope you can email me that picture with how you have all your syringes hanging. So that would be really, really awesome if you can do that. What else we got? All right, so let's go back. So keep posting pictures. This was awesome. So what are the steps that we recommend to lower the supply overhead and start managing the inventory? So one of the things we talk about is when offices are like completely at 7% on supplies, I think you need to establish the process first, right? And so that's where we come in with Zen and, just having checks and balances, who approves the orders, what needs to be done with inventory, lower some of the stock levels, and that's going to be the phase 1. So unfortunately, most of the offices in the country, when they learn that their supplies are at above 7% on collections, they just call their reps right away and try to get the cheaper prices. So they go in some marketplaces like Net32 and try to buy supplies cheaper, which I don't think it's the first thing that any offices should do. In our opinion, or basically in my opinion, and what we've built and recommended is first you need to have the process in place. And so that's what we're going to talk about right now is having a process. So what do we mean by that? So main stock versus daily stock. What does it mean? So if we take a floor plan, that's what we do with a lot of our offices. And Geneva Family Dentistry is one of awesome offices that did that, implemented it, and they're super happy. And so we were actually planning to have Haley, their lead assistant, present at our April 17th workshop, which we had to postpone. But she was planning to present what they did and how they built their inventory in the office and how they got organized. And so you can see here that basically a floor plan. You all have the floor plan in the office. It's called emergency exit something. And so you can take that plan, sit down and think about it. Where would ideally we want to put main stock room, where all the boxes are coming in? So any shipment that's coming in, where would we want to put the main supply room? So then, depending on where that room is going to go, you can then say, okay, so if that's our main supply room, ideally we have access to that room either once a day or once a week. Then we need to define where is going to be our daily stock. Either we're going to put it in the sterilization room, or we're going to put it inside the treatment rooms. And so we have both concepts working really well. Some offices have nothing in the treatment rooms. Some offices have just enough to get by for a week. So I would say I would leave it up to you. We can work on both ends and provide the checklist and support on both ends. But this is the step 1. So you literally take a floor plan. You look at the floor plan and you start looking at it and saying, where's the area where we can have a closet or storage room to put the main stock room, and everything is going to go there. Everything, all the supplies. Okay, and then if it happened to be cleaning closet, well, let's get rid of the cleaning closet. We're going to put the main supply room there, and then cleaning closet is going to go someplace else. So then the next step is, this is what we recommend. This is what we do when we go to offices. Once you know where the main supply room is going to be, then you take these Walmart folders, I'm sorry, not folders, but the tables. So these foldable tables, and you go cabinet by cabinet, and you take everything out of every single cabinet and you put on this table. So this looks messy, right? So it's probably going to be a whole day process, but technically every single cabinet has to be unloaded. Okay, so you put on this table, and then we're going to start organizing. So let me see what my next picture is. Yep, that's another office that we worked on in Ellicott City, Baltimore. So every single thing from supplies went into these tables. So that's what I would recommend if you have an ability right now to go to the office just by yourself, right? Nobody's there, and start taking things out of the doors and out of every single nook and cranny and put on a table. You'll see a lot. First of all, you'll throw a lot of stuff out. Second of all, you'll be able to reorganize it and put stuff back in and have actual stock levels of things that you have, like the real stock level of the product. And so the other part is just working with your team when you guys do come back to work together, is just discussing where things are going to go. That's me trying to talk with one of our lead assistants and where things should go in the anesthetics and things like that. And then when you start organizing things back into the main supply room, this is how I would recommend the main supply room to look like. And you have the tip-up bins, you have open shelves where you can see the supplies, and you can see the bulky stuff will go all the way on the right side. So like the chair covers, masks, gloves, patient bibs, tray cover paper. So that's all like big stuff that can go on the right side column. Right in the middle, you have the tip-up bins. I will talk about where to get the tip-up bins. So I will help you guys with that. But as far as the main supply room, this is ideal. This is what we recommend, right? So everything is exposed, and then you'll be able to fill in those tip-up bins with all the products. And again, we have the diagrams for you to start with, and then you can reorganize to how it's going to work for your office. So we have other pictures, right? So this is the pediatric office that's all the way on the left. You can see how they organize their shelving, they organize the tip-up bins. You could put more bulky stuff in the tip-up bins, like saliva ejectors, the 2x2s and things like that. The needles. And then all the way on the right side, you can also see how offices are organizing smaller stuff, like burrs and maybe polishing burrs and round burrs and things like that. Okay, so speaking of the tip-up bins, if you go to the website called simplastics.com, you'll be able to search the word Zen, and our assembly will come up. So you could write it down. The assemblies that we do recommend are Zen 28, which is this one, for general practices. Then I do recommend Zen 29 as a hygiene. You will see it on Simplastics website. And then Zen 30 is the assembly we recommend for the burrs. So to organize the burrs. Again, so you'll be able to go simplastics.com. Actually, let me type it in the messages. And then my team will put that in the notes as well. So simplastics.com. Use the code Zen11 to get the promo code, which is going to get you 11% discount. And then you will be able to purchase these things. And again, for general practices, we recommend Zen 28. For hygiene products, we recommend Zen 29. And for organizing your burrs, I recommend Zen 30. All right, I think we're enough here. All right, so I'm going to jump right back into this thing again. So I want to see if there are any questions. Monica, Dr. Davis, anybody else? I would like to see if there are any questions here, because this is the first step. This is looking at the plan. We call it a 40,000 view, and looking at the office and saying, if we would organize this thing, where the main storage is going to be, where our supplies are going to be, how we're going to organize this room, how we're going to take things out of every single space that we have, every single corner, and put in the main storage room. So again, we covered this area here. This is how we start. We take tables, we put everything on the tables from the cabinets. It's a fun process, by the way. You know, we get team members together. It's a pizza, depending on the offices. I think it's one of the best team experience and a team exercise. So you put on the tables, you discuss as a team where things are going to go, and then that's how you organize your main supply room, right? With tip-up bins. And depending on the layout, we can help you with the layout too. So you can shoot me an email with dimensions and things like that, and I can go through and help you with putting the tip-up bins in specific storage. All right, so now what are we going to do with the treatment rooms or the daily stock room? So one of the things that we've built is not even us. We got this from one of our offices. So checklist for daily, weekly stock. So what does it mean? If you go into your main supply room and you take the supplies and then you bring them into the treatment room, if you have supplies in the rooms, or you bring them into the sterilization, if you prep the trays and then take the trays into the treatment rooms, then you need to have a checklist at that end point, either sterilization or the treatment rooms. Now, the way it's going to work is on that checklist, you're going to have the items that are in that treatment room or the sterile, and you have the stock quantity. So the stock quantity is recommended stock quantity. So you can see, for example, wedges 15, tips blue 10, and then you can see where that cabinet is. It's a rear cabinet, top tray, then you see the matrix band, and that recommended stock quantity is, again, only recommended. So some offices would call me back and they would get mad and said, Tiger, you said that we can only have 20 carpules of Septicane, right, for the week, and we use it in a day. So it's only recommended. You need to pick the quantity that's going to work specifically for your practice and the workflow and the flow of the patients. So, but it's also a good number to have for the team members. So first of all, you have the room number and you have DA in charge. So my dental assistants, you want to be in charge of the room. So you want to make sure that you have a checklist that you use to restock the rooms. And those reordered quantities just going to help you to make sure that you just don't think. You're just like, all right, go into the supply room. How many carpules you need? You put in a container. You go right back into the room. Your room is restocked. The second reason I love this checklist is when you get a look from a doctor for not having certain things in the room, my DAs, you can just put that down on the list and make sure that you restock that item before the next time. So literally that item that doctor needed to have during the procedure and you didn't have, that goes in the checklist, and next time you will have it. So that's just going to avoid of having all this uncomfortable conversations about not having your room ready. Thank you, Monica, for the next one. All right, so that's a daily checklist. We will have it available. We'll link it up in the notes. So Irina, please remind me to give you a link on this so that we do have it in the notes. And by the way, for each webinar at the end, for all our Zen people, you will be able to go on that specific webinar in Zen, click on it, and have downloadable checklist items that you need, the items that we discussed, the notes we discussed, and continue adding questions, and we'll be able to go back and answer those questions. All right. So then how do you continue organizing the rooms? Ideally, I would love for you to start using some kind of containers where the space is confined. So you don't have lidocaine and suction tips flying all over the drawers in the rooms, right? If you do decide to keep supplies in the rooms. Ideally, you want to keep the containers where things are organized. Again, make sure that it's OSHA and infection control compliant, right? So I'm not sure if it's, like, I think if we can put a cover, it's all going to be compliant, but I would double check and consult. But these containers, they have a lid that can close, and that's how we've been recommending so far. But that's basically defines the space for septo, lido, anything else. You have your syringes, you have your 2x2s, prime and bond, and things like that. So you want to make sure that when you need to restock the room, you take the checklist, you know the quantities, you take one of these 3 containers or all 3 containers, you go into the main supply room and you restock the main supply, your containers from that, come back to the treatment room, either keep supplies under the closed container in the room or just restock your drawers, which again, I think we're going to need to bring Mary back at some point before we go back to seeing patients if we'll be allowed to have things in the drawers and things like that. So we'll discuss that. But so there might be some adjustments here, but you do want to use some containers to define the space. All right, so we talked about the main supply room, right, where all the supplies are going to go from the boxes. And then we talked about treatment rooms. The same checklist can work for sterilization. So for those offices that don't keep anything in the treatment rooms, right, what you can do is you can have supplies in the sterile room, so that you prepare the trays, and then from the trays you bring it into the treatment room and come back. And so you just have the same checklist, but in the sterile, to make sure that when you restock the sterilization room, everything is there and you have it all prepared. Also, on last webinar on Thursday, we talked about the tub and tray system. So Brittany from Zurich, she recommended to use the tub and tray, so that for each procedure, you have a tub with a closed lid. Everything is ready to go. So if you're doing extractions, fillings, all that, so you can have trays by colors, tubs by colors and things like that. So you can really get it all organized and things like that. I also like this picture. So for all the doctors that are watching, just tell me, how do you feel about it? So this is one of the offices. It's called Acrewood Dental. I went to visit them, I think, a couple times, and I was really impressed, because there's one part that doctor is involved in on every single order, is he's approving every single order before it goes into the vendors or to the vendors, together with his assistant. So assistant will be able to put everything together in the shopping cart, right? Like organize quantities and things like that, add it to the shopping cart in Zen. And then doctor and assistant sit together to approve the order. The reason I love this part, I really, really love this part, because you can sit down and decide together on two things. Either you're going to swap out the product with the cheaper version. You all know in Zen we have price comparison. So you can say, do we need the cut roll to go with company X, or can we save $10 and go with a company B, right? So I would love that decision to be together. So when the product does show up, the doctors are not surprised that there's a different product that's not the same that's been used before, right? So you're all on the same page. And the second reason is you can define and work on the quantities. So let's just say, as a dental assistant, my number one responsibility is to make sure that I don't run out, right? That's the worst thing. I need to make sure I don't run out. And so when I put products in the shopping cart, most likely I will put a little bit more. And that's where the doctor will come in and help to look at the schedule and say, you know what, Monica, maybe we don't need 4 boxes of Septo. Maybe we'll be okay with 3 boxes. And just like that, we save $50 that month on the budget. Because if we have 4 boxes, it's good. We're going to use it next month. But I like to look at the budget month over month, month to month, month to month. What do I have for that specific month? And stick within that budget. And so that conversation where you can look at the order, it will take 15 to 20 minutes twice a month to look at the order together and make that decision at the checkout. It has been the most beneficial for a lot of offices to bring the budget down, make sure you don't run out of things, and just make sure that the spirit of working together is pretty high up. So doctors, please let me know what you think about it. Dr. Tom, Dr. Davis. So if you hear me, please let me know. All right, so that's what we recommend. Case study. Ooh, you guys are going to love this. American Dental Care. So they called us up and they asked us to go and help them out. So they had this area literally where things come in and they dump them. This was the area. They called it Costco. So they would literally go in and tell their assistants and tell their team members, go to Costco. Like, we need gloves, go to Costco. Yep, Dr. Tom, I love it. You review all the orders before they go out. And just, if you don't mind, just for the context, can you share how long does it take you to review every single order? Like, just how much time per order? And how many orders do you do a month? So we can get an idea for our doctors, how long does it take? And then we're going to continue with this case study. And Monica, I promise I'll look at it. 30 seconds. 30 seconds? Twice weekly? Wow. So, wow. That is cool. That is really, really awesome. I mean, when we talk to our offices, it's usually 15 minutes, but I know Dr. Tom is awesome. He's like on top of it. So yeah, Dr. Davis, I'm waiting for a comment too. So this was one of the offices that, again, like I said, called us up and said, we need your help. So I went over actually twice. So when we do the dental inventory makeovers, I would typically go once, just again to help people with the cost so that we don't run out of things. And so when I went the first time, I couldn't believe that they actually have this area called Costco. Like they go in and everything is there, right? So first we needed to organize that, and then it was a pretty big office. So let's take a look. So this was on the left, that's their sterilization room. Everything closed, doors are closed, right? You can't even see anything. You don't have even space, you know, to look at, like to put anything, like to put the trays. And so that's another part that I look at is when we go into the offices, how we can reorganize things to make it more ergonomic, that you just don't, you have space on the countertop, right? And then on the right side picture, you see the hygiene closet. And the biggest thing that I like to organize is things have to be separate, right? So if it's a hygiene closet, I would like to get cleaning supplies out of here, right? The paper folding, the folding paper, towels, and things like that, they need to be in a different space. So we need to find spot for that. So if I have a hygiene closet, it's only for hygiene. If I'm combining clinical and hygiene, that's totally fine. That's what we typically start with offices with 5 to 7 treatment rooms and below. If you have more than that and you have separate sections, like this office, they had hygiene totally separate, clinical separate, then you can have 2 separate storages. And so that's what we were starting with, right? And then the other problem we had is every single treatment room, they were hoarding supplies. Like every room would have anesthetics, needles, like boxes inside the cabinets, right? So you go in and you see things underneath the cabinet. And how do you control, right? So then number one, you're exposed to having a ton of expired products. And number two is you just don't know what you have on hand when you need to buy. It's just a guesswork, right? So that's one of my challenges is having too much stuff without a checklist in the rooms. It's just you don't know, right? Okay, and then we started the work. So that picture is coming up. So we picked the area. We couldn't find any other area besides this closet. I hope you guys can see it. So this closet, we converted into the tip-up bin area. So we installed the tip-up bins. And you can see a little drawing on the side. That's how we do drawings. And then we just put it in there. But typically, even if you can have a dedicated closet or a dedicated storage room for the matter, like with the door and everything else, dedicated closet, right? So let's put the supplies there. And then these are the tip-up bins that they started putting in. These are ZenOne. You can see the big ones at the bottom, and then they slowly started to go up. Dr. Davis, we order weekly. I review the order with my assistant before she orders. Takes a few minutes. Exactly. And Dr. Davis, can you write what impact it has made in the practice, making sure that you don't run out and you stay within a budget? Just let us know, like if it's a big impact or you haven't seen an impact at all. All right. So then, do you have the video? I hope you guys can see it. It's a fast lap, or what is it called? Time lapse. Okay. So I see more comments coming in. Thank you for that. So basically, it was just a quick video here of that office, all right? So then that same concept we talked about. So we went in, we put a bunch of tables, and we started taking things out of every single door, cabinet, anything that I can get my hands on. We're removing items out. And you can see on the left side, that's the hallway. Everything went into the tables, and now we can start organizing. That sterilization, do you guys remember the sterilization I showed in the previous picture? I took all the doors out, all of them. Yep, Dr. Davis, that's amazing. And probably it builds a really good communication and being on the same page with your assistant too, right? With your lead assistant, Dr. Davis. So I really hope that that's the case. So that's a sterilization, no more doors. Doors are out, right? So everybody was worried about it in the beginning. But I check in with them once in a while. Now they love it. They can see everything, right? So it was one of the best things we did. And then just see how much stuff, all this stuff, expired, things we need to throw away. Half of the equipment didn't work and nobody even knew. It was just sitting underneath the cabinet. Like totally right now would be the best time to do it. Like, when else are you going to get the time? Like, again, if as long as everybody's safe and healthy and it doesn't affect any of the state regulations and stuff like that, if you can sneak in into your office and do this thing, oh my God, it would be so cool. Remember that hygiene closet, right? So we installed these shelves, we installed the tip-up bins. So now the hygiene is completely dedicated. They have their storages, they have their tip-up bins. And can you see the hygienist? They're actually sweeping floors and doing stuff. Isn't that amazing? That's how we work together. That's the teamwork that we're talking about. And then take a look. Now we started on the right side, we started organizing the tubs for each procedure. So what needs to go in each tub, right? So slowly we're getting these things organized. And just for the record, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I'm not familiar with the clinical side. So when we go to offices to help with streamlining and organizing things, my job is to ask you if it brings you joy. I don't know clinical. If somebody will ask me what to do if you need a burr 557 versus 331, I will not have the answer. It's going to be up to you. The way we work is we just go in and most likely what I'm going to say is just let's throw it away. So we're there to help you and push the limits of what you need to store, what you don't need to store. So if it's not us, find somebody like that. Find somebody in your family that can be like, let's throw it away. We don't need it anymore. Or put it in a garbage bag for 2 weeks. And if you need it, it's there. If after 2 weeks you don't need it or the month, throw it away. So that's our recommendation. All right, so that's another video I have here. I don't know if it's going to work. Again, it's the hygiene closet. I hope you guys can see it. And Irina, let's link up these videos. They're on YouTube, so let's link up them in the notes in a webinar so that people can see all the details. Yep, again, no doors. No doors. Yep. All right, what's next? And if you remember, so that's the hygiene closet on the left side. So that's how we got it organized. All the toothbrushes, toothpaste, and all the stuff that specifically for hygiene end. And then remember that section called Costco? That's what it's basically now empty. So no more Costco, we got rid of it. And these are all empty plastic containers at the end of this whole experience. So they didn't need them anymore. I hope they donated or they did something or recycled, but it was a lot of plastic that just not needed. We're done with it. All right. So then I have one more video, I think. And again, I'm going to pause here. So this is Zen 30. This is how we recommend to organize the burrs. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 containers in a row. And there's about 6 or 7, 3 to 4 like rows of these containers. Arco, yep, Dr. Tom, note that those Arco bins can be mounted on a wall bracket. Yep, sometimes it can serve as a rapid deployment tub for a laser or endo stuff. Exactly. Yep, those tip-up bins are pretty cool, or Arco bins. So I totally agree with you. So you can utilize them. And Dr. Tom, when I review orders, many times I'll delete stuff that we just don't need. Maybe a 7th flavor of Profi paste, more kinds of floss. It's always the worst when we come back from a meeting or seminar. Yep, exactly. So again, it just gives you an exposure, right? So for doctors listening, reviewing orders is going to be one of the most impactful things that you're going to do. So, and again, those pina colada flavors of topical, we probably don't need. All right. And let's see. So that's another video from this experience that we've done. So now it's a finished product. We'll link up this video towards the end, but I hope through this poor quality of streaming, you can see a finished product. This team is amazing. Look how countertops now, like I'm gonna pause here for a second. Check these burrs. Like now the burrs are organized. They're mounted on a wall in a sterilization. See how much space we got on a countertop now. Like it wasn't like that before. So now we can come in, we can breathe. Like the team can breathe and put the stuff in. So yeah. Things are organized. Wait. Where did it go? There you go. Okay, so we'll just link this up. I think what I want to do is the next part of my prem is negotiate and all that. So I don't think I really want to talk about it and track the orders. I don't think it's that important. So I would much rather stop and go in some questions and maybe see what Monica sent. The checklist. I love it. Monica, how long did it take you to get this checklist organized? I'm going to show it to everybody. Love it. It's laminated. It's really, really cool. So first of all, how many times you had to change it? Monica, if you don't mind. And just type yes if I can bring you in, at least audio. I would love to have you, just to have your quick feedback. Monica, I hope you say yes. I promise, just the audio, no video. Okay, while I'm waiting for Monica to say yes. So, yeah, that's the checklist. That's pretty much what we always talk about. So, DA in charge, room number, the checklist, all the items. You organize it by what's assistant side, the rear shelf, right, the top drawer, second drawer, and things like that. So that's the typical checklist that you would put in a room. Usually the first time we present it to the teams, I don't get too much excitement, but typically within 2 to 3 weeks, people just can't live without the checklist because that's how they literally go and restock their rooms. It's a great reminder to make sure that you have all the stuff that you need and you don't run out and the treatment rooms are stocked properly for the week. Again, I don't know how much doctor's involvement needs to be in this. Maybe Dr. Tom and Dr. Davis, you can put your comments if you think that doctors need to be involved in putting these checklists together on things that need to go in the treatment room. I mean, maybe now it's a good timing, but I don't know. I would love to see your thoughts on that. But yeah, that's the checklist. All right, so let's see. Any more comments? Monica is hiding. As soon as I said I want to bring her in on this. And I'm going to quickly check if we received any emails about this with attached file so we can look at it together. Okay, so far so good. All right, so if there are no more questions, this is pretty much all we wanted to cover today. This was a Dr. Davis, yep, I'll wait for your comment. But this was the goal, to go through inventory process, what we recommend, some of the products that we recommend. So we'll have the notes, we'll link it up, the tip-up bins, we'll link up some of the YouTube videos. So we're here. So we've got the time to help you guys with anything inventory related. Now it's a perfect time. Even if you're working remotely from home, we'd love to just sit down, get your floor plan. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be anything like that. So we'd love to give you some help on that. My assistants are, yeah. So I think it's a good way to delegate, Dr. Davis, right? So if no more questions, we're going to start wrapping this up. And if there are questions, just keep typing them. And I hope it was helpful. And just stay tuned for more notes and checklists on this webinar on our site. Tomorrow, we're going to have stories from the trenches. So we have one office that's open currently in Chicago, and they've been seeing 7 to 12 emergency patients. So I'm really excited to bring them in tomorrow and talk about their experience and how they work and how they see patients and what they and how they do. Yep, Monica, totally agree with you. All right. So thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Tom. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Dr. Davis. Thank you all for watching and participating. So we only do it because you're watching it. So obviously we want to bring the value. And until the next time, So we hope to see you tomorrow on this exciting webinar about the emergency. And then Thursday, we have exciting workshop on to talk about the struggles and stuff like that from Mary Beth and Missy Fryer, the creators of the Dental Survival Guide for office managers, and they have the Dental Survival Guide for assistants. And on Friday, we're going to talk about the insurance verifications one more time. So that's what we got for this week, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.